Is it the case that, as Pritzker frames it, you are profiling brown people, that this immigration crackdown is designed to go after people of color?
It's such a, oh, what a dumb question. The illegal aliens who are here are taking jobs away from blacks, they're taking jobs away from whites, they're taking jobs away from Latinos, they're taking their health benefits away, they're taking their school slots away, and of course in many cases they're committing heinous crimes. We cannot have a system of law in this country that privileges illegal aliens over American citizens, and that's what they're doing. You know it, and I know it.
So that's not exactly a no, Stephen. Can you just unequivocally state that the immigration policy... I said it's a dumb question. Okay.
Well,
I appreciate that, but
it's a dumb question.
So no, this policy is not designed.
I thought when I said it was a dumb question, it meant no.
Well, I just want to be clear and precise. I appreciate you trying to qualify my questions, but nevertheless, I think it's a fair one that a lot of people have.
My full answer is no. That is a lie, and it's a dumb question.
What's going on, everybody? Thank you all for joining me today. If you haven't already, please make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new to the channel, and most importantly, please make sure that you are following me on Telegram at TD Media Group to help circumvent social media censorship and shadow banning. With the introduction out of the way, let's get into today's news. And today, yes, we are headed back to the People's Republic of Chicago. Why? Because, ladies and gentlemen, Chicago is turning into a war zone, okay? It is turning into a war zone. Like I stated in my previous video, Chicago is significantly worse than Portland, significantly worse than Portland. Why is that? Because in Portland, we all know about the ICE facility over there, in which the anti-ICE rioters are consistently clashing on a nightly basis with federal agents down there. But what's not happening that I haven't seen, and maybe you can tell me and prove me different in the comment section below, is that in Portland, the anti-ICE rioters, agitators, as people would call them like myself, I don't see them, and I haven't seen video footage of them actually actively following around ICE agents as they're on their operation to arrest illegal immigrants. And during those operations, they're attacking them in the streets, right? They're ramming vehicles into them, pulling out guns on them, throwing bricks through their windows. I don't see them actually pursuing ICE agents during operations just all throughout Portland. A lot of the activity, really 100% of the activity, is happening at specifically the ICE facility in Portland. Whereas in Chicago, I mean, as Gregory Bavino stated, they've recovered more guns from anti-ICE rioters in Chicago in the first 4 weeks that they've been there than in the 4 months that they were here in Los Angeles post-riot, right? So that's very interesting to highlight and to note that, yes, it is significantly more dangerous and more hostile in Chicago than anywhere else concerning these ICE operations. Let's get into this clip here. This here is from Aurora, Illinois. Right, the suburb of Aurora, Illinois. There was an ICE operation going on, you know, where they were arresting some illegal immigrants, criminal aliens. And I just want you to look at what's happening here. Look at how these animals are attacking ICE agents. And quick disclaimer, there is going to be a significant amount of profanity in these clips that I'm about to play. Just so you guys know, you all know me, I typically like to remove the profanity in these videos, and I don't curse in my videos, but I wasn't able to remove them today. At least I'm not going to be able to. I'm not going to have time to. So if you have kids around, or maybe you're in the break room of your job, something like that, just letting you know, profanity alert. Okay, let's get into this madness here in Aurora. Let me show you that one more time with the video full screen. Look at this craziness. Look at how ignorant these animals are, okay? Look at how ignorant these animals are. This woman tried to stop Chicago PD with a baby in her arm. Look at this here. Let me rewind it back just a little bit without the sound. Look at this. Look at her. This woman is unfit to be a mother. Look, as they're running, as cops are running, She's running defense. She's standing in the way. Look, you can see her extending herself right there with the child in her hand. What are you doing? Why would you bring your child to a hostile environment like this? And then you have this other woman here that's front and center in the black that just has a phone in her hand. Why wasn't she arrested for obstruction of justice? Because as I rewind here, look at her. What do you call this? I don't watch football, but look at these CPD officers running after this man. I'm just going to make a position. What is this, like defensive back or something like that? Like I said, I don't watch football, but like, look at how she's blocking. She's holding the line down. She's blocking these officers from being able to go after this man. She should have been arrested for obstruction of justice. That's what she should have been. And this goofy woman that's here with her child is obviously unfit to be a mother. Obviously unfit to be a mother. This is craziness. Now, if something would have happened, now you're screaming and hollering, I'm a woman, I'm a woman, I'm a woman. Oh my God, what about my baby? What about my baby? What about my baby? But you're the ones putting yourselves in harm's way intentionally, obstructing justice, and also while having a child in your arm. Are you crazy? How psychotic do you have to be? Now look at this other situation here. And this is also in Aurora, Illinois, the suburb of Aurora, in which you're going to see a second ICE vehicle was destroyed. Check this out here.
Yeah, this the world, bitch. This the world, bitch. This the world. It's the world, bitch. This the world, bitch. We stick together, ho. Get the fuck out of here, bitch. Get the fuck out. 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 Come on, move. Move. Get out. Get out. Get the fuck out. Get out. Get the fuck out. Pussy. 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 Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you.
Shout out to that dude, Saul. I can't say what I want to. My man Saul that's watching. I can't. You can see it all over my face. You called me out in the comment section in the last. You can see it all over my face. I can't say what I want to say. But boy, oh boy, I support heavy-handed policing because it's necessary. I'll say that much. It's necessary. I know a lot of people have their hangups with, police and whatnot. I'm not that guy. I don't have any hangups with law enforcement. And heavy-handed policing is definitely needed in situations like this. Definitely. And I'll just leave it there. That's what should have taken place, right? But now let's move over to the west side of Chicago, right? Because there's a situation here on the west side of Chicago where, once again, people are just going crazy, completely losing their minds, getting way too close to these ICE officers, bumping into them and testing their patience as they're just trying to carry out these lawful ICE operations that the American people voted for. 77 million of us. This is what we wanted. And you see these people obstructing justice and getting in the way of democracy because this is what we voted for, as opposed to doing what Republicans did throughout the 4 years that Biden was in office, wreaking havoc on America by way of his open borders. When you had people like Rachel Warren and Johnson Nungery being killed by Biden and Harris's migrants, you didn't see Republicans going in the street, creating a ruckus, becoming domestic terrorists, bashing out windows and destroying vehicles and attacking people and attacking illegal immigrants. What they did was that they prepared for the next election and they won. Not liberals. They're not preparing for an election. They're preparing for violence. They're preparing for war. They're preparing for destruction. And that's what we continue to see throughout Chicago because of the rhetoric of Brandon Johnson and J.B. Pritzker. But first, let's head over to the west side of Chicago very quickly so you can look at these animals act a fool during this ICE operation.
Back up.
Get back.
Motherfucker, get back. Get back. Back up.
Fuck, bitch. Fuck you.
Back up.
Fucking punk ass bitch. Fuck you.
I just hate fake courage. You know, all type of, they're throwing around all type of the female dogs. Yes, I like to say, right? Calling them female dogs and calling these guys all type of female private parts. And you're only talking like that because you're projecting and you're speaking about yourself. You're talking like that because you know they're not going to do anything. They're not going to respond the way that they should. All right. They're not going to respond the way that they should. They're not going to respond by defending themselves accordingly, as they would legally have the right to. They would legally have the right. If ICE defended themselves accordingly, they would legally have the right to use their tasers and batons and all that. You have to remain within a certain feet when law enforcement is doing their job. I don't remember how far that range is. I think it's 15 feet. I should have looked it up beforehand, but I wasn't thinking about this prior to the video. But I think the number of feet that you have to be away from law enforcement when they're carrying out their activities is about 15 feet. Anything within 15 feet, they have more than reasonable suspicion to believe that you mean them harm when they're in the middle of their operation. Whether we're talking about federal law enforcement or local PD, at that point it's fair game. Once you enter into that threshold, you enter into that zone, at that point, whatever happens to you happens. They pull the baton out, they get the taser out, they get the pepper spray or whatever the case is. You brought it on yourself at that point. But these ICE agents, they have to show tremendous restraint, an unprecedented amount of restraint. This is actually the kind of restraint that the military men show when they're overseas, but I don't want to get too far off topic, because they have to show tremendous restraint too. But they show tremendous restraint because they know and understand the moment you give these cowards, and they are cowards because they're doing this because they know nothing's going to happen in that moment. But the moment you give them all the problems that they're looking for, talking about these rioters / domestic terrorists, CNN, MSNBC, ABC, CBS, Lord have mercy, they're going to run 10 miles with it and say, look at this fascism, look at this injustice. Oh my goodness. They know how this turns out when you give these domestic terrorists, which is what they are, what they're looking for. So that's why they don't do it, right? There's definitely, people talk about civil war. There's definitely a cold civil war going on, and it's by way of the media, right? There's a cold civil war happening, and it's by way of media, and it's by way of narratives, okay? By way of narratives. And in order for the Trump administration to maintain control and win the narrative war, these ICE agents have to show tremendous restraint. And I applaud them for it. Because Lord knows I would have been fired already. They would have had to let me go. They would have had to let me go because I wouldn't be able to show that kind of restraint. But we also cannot lose sight of the reason for why these people are acting like animals. And it's because of Brandon Johnson and JB Pritzker. Now I have a separate video for JB Pritzker. I'm going to get on him at a later date, maybe sometime tomorrow. But I want to go back to the Brandon Johnson video that I played for you guys yesterday, when he told honestly, this is the greatest lie that I've ever heard come from a politician. When he sat up here and told the world that federal agents are killing Americans in Chicago. I didn't play the entire clip for you guys, but I do want to play it now, just so you hear what he said in its entirety. But he is the reason and the cause, along with JB Pritzker, with rhetoric like what you're getting ready to hear, complete lies that causes these people to act like the animals that they are. So let's get back into this Brandon Johnson clip next.
Following up on CPD again, Superintendent Stelling said yesterday that he's in touch with federal authorities on how we're going to work this out and improve communication after the Saturday incidents in Brighton Park. Do you agree that there's a learning lesson there on CPD protocol, and what would that be?
Well, I don't believe it's the issue of the protocol of CPD, because we're clear about what we're supposed to do. The issue is the federal government isn't. The federal government is shooting Americans. In the streets of America right now, the federal government is shooting and killing people, unleashing tear gas on families who are walking to the grocery store, trying to get their kids to school. The federal government is out of control. This is one of the most dangerous times in our nation's history. An unhinged, double-minded, simple-minded man who is not being held accountable.
No one needs to be held accountable more than Brandon Johnson. Like I stated in the last video, when you're lying like that as an elected official, to lie to that magnitude, you are deliberately attempting to instigate armed conflict when you lie like that. And nobody can tell me different. This is treasonous. It's beyond the pale of freedom of speech, because this is not an opinion that he's giving. It is an outright, unbelievable boldface. I've never heard politicians lie and bend the truth and twist the truth all the time. I have never heard a politician lie like this, because this is actually dangerous. And no one can convince me that this isn't treasonous behavior. This man should be in jail. This man should be in jail, right? But fortunately for us, we have Tom Homan on our side. Okay, we have Tom Homan on our side, and he spoke recently, and he let Pritzker and Johnson know that they're not going anywhere. They're in Chicago to stay. They are in Chicago to stay. Let's check out what Tom Homan had to say recently on Fox News.
Governor Pritzker should be calling President Trump up and thanking him for taking over 1,000 criminal aliens off the streets of his state. The same President Trump did in Los Angeles, the same he did in Washington, D.C., the same we're doing in other cities. We're there to make the city safer. And you think Governor Pritzker and the Mayor Johnson, their number one responsibility is protection of communities. Remove public safety threats from the public. We're there to do that. And we're not going to stop doing it. They can stand aside and watch us do it, but we're going to be out there tonight. We're going to be out there tomorrow. And thank God for Governor Abbott. He's sending troops out there to help protect ICE officers who have over 1,000% increase in attacks. So President Trump's doing the right thing. We're going to continue doing the right thing. We are not stopping what we're doing.
They're not stopping. And they're actually doubling down. They plan on doubling down. I want to play this last clip of a recent you can see press conference that Trump had, and Kristi Noem was there, and she spoke on what's happening in Chicago, and they've acknowledged and stated the fact that they are not going anywhere, just like Homan stated, and they are indeed going to literally double down. They're purchasing buildings in Chicago as we speak to host ICE operations out of, and to convert these buildings also, I would assume, into detention centers. So let's check this out here.
Government to help us keep our country safe. You have talked extensively about how threatened our ICE officers are, but all of our law enforcement out there. And we saw the shooting in Dallas at that facility, so we're hardening all of our buildings and making sure that we have more security measures, snipers on the roof, people to protect our law enforcement while they're out there on the streets. But what I'm also doing, sir, is, and with your authority, is we're purchasing more buildings in Chicago to operate out of. We're going to not back off. In fact, we're doubling down, and we're going to be in more parts of Chicago in response to the people there. And then I was there a few days ago and looked at some facilities that we can deploy more law enforcement out of, because what they're trying to do with these riots and violence is distract us and keep us from going after those murderers and rapists that are out in the streets. And then I was in Portland.
Translation: they're using terrorism. That's what that is. When you're using violence in order to stop your political opponent from carrying out their mission, right? What they've set out to do legally and lawfully, and you're using violence to stop that, that is terrorism. That's not an overstatement. Oh, you're doing too much, you're putting extra sauce on it. That quite literally is terrorism. And what you're looking at is domestic terrorism in the city of Chicago. There is no one who can convince me otherwise. You're the fool if you're saying otherwise, as far as I'm concerned. And with all that being said, that does it for today's news. So please hit the like button on your way out. Subscribe to the channel if you're new to the channel. Share this video on your social media platforms. And do not forget to follow me on Telegram at TD Media Group. Link to my Telegrams in the description box below and pinned in the comment section as well. Thank you all for your time. Until the next video, peace and have a great afternoon.